In this video, we are going to talk about Manager Kim chapter number 188. But before I start this chapter, I just want to tell you that at the end of this video, I will be making an announcement. So make sure you watch this video till the end. So in the last chapter, we saw that the original Code 66 had remembered his original name. He also remembered Manager Kim's original name. So we start off this chapter by Manager Kim wondering about his real name. He's walking through a crowd and he's thinking like everybody who is passing by him know their name, but he doesn't. And he's having an identity crisis. And he says, who was I until now? I could not define it. I was no one. I was nothing. But the one thing that gave me an identity was being a father. And then we see a scene of Minji bringing a letter from school for invitation of visiting day for parents. And she's like, can you come? And Manager Kim says, of course I can. I will be there for you. And then we come back to the fighting scene where the Code 66, meaning Park Young Gwang, was about to tell Manager Kim his original name. But the king of the underworld out of nowhere strikes Park Young Gwang away and he goes flying backwards. And the king says, ha ha ha, you let yourself get emotional with me right here. And Manager Kim is like, Park Young Gwang! And the king strikes Manager Kim also. And he says, don't fool yourself, I am. But suddenly he's surrounded by the sharp wires of Manager Kim. And he says, someone asked me before, who are you? I didn't have an answer back then. I didn't know who I was. And then the king says, why do I see that man in him? Although it was a brief encounter, the man who instinctively knows his duties. Actually, the king sees Sir Pyongyoncho in Manager Kim. Then Manager Kim lands his signature punch on the king and the king says, no, my body cannot hold out any longer. Then we see Jinchol Park and Tom Lee watching from a distance. Jinchol Park says, look, isn't that fun? A man who was curious about who he was finally had a chance to know it. But in that moment, he understood what he truly is. Then shockingly we see the king's leg has been ripped apart from his body and it's flying in the air in front of his eyes, and the king kind of collapsed because obviously he doesn't have his left leg right now. And Manager Kim finally lands the killing blow on the king, and Jinchol Park asks Tom Lee, who do you see in him? And Tom Lee says, who do I see in him? Someone who is very stubborn, someone who never compromises, and a father. And finally the king has lost the fight. He's down for the count and the fight is over. And during this fight, Manager Kim realizes his true mission. He says, I have no name, I have no honor, nothing. All I have is people to protect, and that is enough to move forward. And you cannot protect people while your hands hold into the past. Now that the final fight is over, the injured Manager Kim is having a date with that old woman, and Manager Kim says, my line of work is physical labor, which is kind of funny because we know what kind of physical labor Manager Kim does. And the old woman has that nervous laughter on her face because she kind of has an idea what kind of work Manager Kim does. And she asks Manager Kim, did everything go well? And Manager Kim says, yes, you could say that everything went pretty well. And then we see a scene of Hansu Xiong's yellow van, and it looks like he got it back and he's very emotional about it. And then we see a scene of Hyushong Kim lying in the hospital bed. I thought he was dead, but he's still alive and he's crying and he's reading a message from Gu Kim saying that everything went smoothly, take care of yourself and don't get hurt. And after reading that message, Hyushong Kim gets very emotional about it. He screams in the hospital, he's like, Gu Kim! And then we see a scene of prison where Sasha, who used to work for the king, is now arrested, and the officer sitting next to her telling her that your boss is in protocol 13. It is the highest security prison in America. You will never be able to see him again. And then the scene shifts to Manager Kim, and Manager Kim says, the people that I fought this time were from a terrorist group. I was successful in taking them down. I even rescued my comrade. And then his phone rings and it's Jinchol Park. He says, today we are going on a new mission overseas and you won't be able to see that Shin Shong-ho guy for a long time. If you remember, Shin Shong-ho is one of the people who works for Manager Kim. He has a lot of respect for Manager Kim, and Manager Kim says, I already told him to go to Ares and learn as much as he can, and when he finds something that he wants to protect, I will take him as my disciple. I want to help someone who wants to protect, not just someone who listens to what I say. Then Jinchol Park says, so you don't want to have any disciples? Then Manager Kim says, if I have a disciple, it will be someone who is willing to sacrifice themselves for a friend or a family member. And then we see a scene of two people walking together, and they are none other than Warren Che and Sally Park. And Sally says, Warren, what are you thinking about? And Warren says, where is the barking dog? Well, if you know, then Warren Che and Sally Park are from Lookism, where Manager Kim has actually accepted Warren Che as his disciple and taught him CQC and Jeet Kune Do. And if you want to see Lookism Manhwa, then you can check out my Lookism Revealed YouTube channel where I explain Lookism Manhwa manhwa and its latest chapter in English. So please check that out. The link is in the description. And then we see Yongchol and Shang-hee are standing outside waiting for Manager Kim, and they're like, "Come on, Manager Kim, the lunch break is over." And when Manager Kim was about to walk out from there, the old woman says, "Manager Kim, great work. It actually hurts my heart to see you wounded, but still I'm grateful that the ending was good for you." And Manager Kim says thank you and leaves the place. And now these three are walking on the road where now Manager Kim is now reflecting on everything that he has been through. He says, "I was able to gain a lot from this, a friend that I've longed to see, and the trust of the director." Then the scene shifts to a conversation between Park Young-gwang and Manager Kim, where Park Young-gwang tells Manager Kim that his real name is Taehyung Kim, and then Manager Kim says, "It's a relief to think that was my name." And at that moment, Manager Kim realizes the true mission of his life. He decides that he won't be stuck in the past anymore, and he says, "My name wasn't important to me, but if someone asks me, 'Who are you?' and now I finally have an answer. I was 73, a founding member of Mount Baekdu, codename 66, but now I am a comrade who walked into the battlefield with Jinchol Park, Hansu Xiong, and Park Young-gwang. I also have a daughter. What's important to me is not the path I took, but the path that I will take ahead. However, I know the path I need to take is not easy, but I will swear that I will sacrifice myself to keep the peace that I have today, like the many fathers who would choose family over freedom. And if someone asks me again who I am, then I will answer without any hesitation that my name is Manager Kim." So I told you that I will be making an announcement at the end of this video, so here it is. If this video gets 20 likes and 20 comments, then I will explain all the chapters of Manager Kim manhwa on this YouTube channel. So go ahead and like the video and type yes in the comment section. So that's it from this chapter. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. That's it from today. I hope I will be seeing you very soon. Thank you.